Okay. So today I'm here with a surprise, Mrs. Ashley Apple. I know that maybe the first time that you're listening to me speaking in English. Usually I speak in Spanish. I hope that I put subtitles in Spanish so everybody can listen and understand what we're gonna talk because I didn't want to miss this opportunity. So Ashley is a friend of mine, like I really love her, and she's a sex educator. She's got more than 20 years of experience, and she is here to bring value to you, to all the men, to teach us few things, and to change our view on women and on sexuality. So let's go for it, right?
Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to start with Ashley introducing herself. Maybe you can share a little bit like who are you and why do you do what you do and what's your passion?
I'm happy to do that. Thank you, Julio, and thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. So I'm really, really passionate about sex. And it's probably because from a very young age, I experienced orgasm. And of course, when you're that young, it's very innocent. It's very natural. It wasn't about sexuality. It was just about my body and pleasure. And I, at a very young age, just established this relationship with pleasure being a good thing and really liking it. Now, fast forward to the future, I'm a teenager, I'm discovering sexuality, I'm starting to realize I like boys, and I'm starting to connect my orgasmic energy with sexuality. And it really fascinated me. I was obsessed. And like so many people, where was education? Where was a book I could read about? There wasn't many people I could talk to about it. And I had a pretty cool mom who was open and would talk to me about what sex actually was. And yet we didn't talk about pleasure. We didn't talk about why you would have sex and, the skill level and what sex encompasses. It was more of a anatomical, how babies are made kind of a thing. And so now, fast forward, I'm in my 20s and I'm still obsessed with sex. And of course, like most people, I fumbled my way through losing my virginity, having partners, experiencing sex, and not really understanding why sometimes I have orgasms and sometimes I didn't. And why do I have orgasm only in this position and only in this situation, but I don't experience orgasm in this situation? No one was there to teach me or talk to me about it. So I actually went on a mission of travel and I put on a backpack in my 20s and I went studying around the world looking for a mentor, a teacher, which mind you, this is before the internet was really happening. I mean, we had Skype and cell phones weren't really readily available yet. So there were internet cafes with these big computer boxes that you could like slow dial log on to check your Hotmail account, okay? So you couldn't type in like, how do I have an orgasm? No way, Google was not happening yet. So here I am in Southeast Asia, India. There was some pull to the mystical side of, the Southeast. And sure enough, I stumbled into Tantra. And I found a yoga community, a spiritual community that was very much actually about inner alchemy, understanding energy, and not just sex. And there was also an invitation to explore how sex was another form of moving energy in the body, sexual energy. And so I spent over 4 years living in this community, and it was probably the highlight of my life. I was in my mid-20s. And I was making love every day, consciously doing practices, exercises, some of them so ridiculous. And some of them I laugh when I think back. And at the time I was so serious and driven and dedicated, but it changed my life. Now, when I went back to the Western world and I would tell people what I've been up to, I'm like, yeah, I study meditation and energy work and mystery schools and orgasm mastery. And they're like, orgasm mastery? What is that? And I was like, well, there's so many different types of orgasm, and not just for me as a woman, but men have different types of orgasm. And they're like, you mean in different positions? I'm like, no, like men can have an orgasm without ejaculating, first of all. And of course, most men hear that and go, oh, what are you talking about? So Anyway, I just started finding myself being invited to teach what I was living and that what I was so passionate about. It wasn't a goal of mine to become a sex educator. It was out of necessity that the world was so hungry for this information and no one was really teaching it. And so that's how I got into being a sex educator, is that there was just a demand for it. And I have avidly been practicing for 20 plus years, cultivating my energy, my pleasure, using my sexual energy as another way to tap into spiritual energy, to be in purpose, to feel joy, to feel connected, to have intimacy, and honestly to live in my most authentic self. So that's who I am a little bit and how I got into it. And I'm still completely obsessed with sexuality. I still geek out every time I make love. I'm in such awe of the magic that happens.
Amazing. Thank you, Ashley, for sharing. Probably, as if you follow this channel, you can see that we share a very similar point of view to sexuality. And I would like to start with a very important question for probably all the viewers. No, here we share about the power of semen retention, and that the men should not ejaculate. And we share about the benefits and the practice and the why and a little bit of everything. No, but I think it would be really interesting to hear from a first-hand woman. What's the difference between having sex with a man that practices semen retention and with a man that doesn't practice semen retention? And what's your experience on that?
That is such a good question, Julio. And I'm the perfect person to ask this because, ironically, at this point in my life, I'm currently single, so I'm dating. When I'm dating a new person, if I'm not in some yogic spiritual community where it's common knowledge to practice semen retention, to practice continence, then I'm dealing with someone, a regular average guy, who their relationship with sex is probably going to have sex for 10 to 15 minutes and finish with an ejaculatory orgasm. And I often invite them just saying like, hey, for me, it's not about the orgasm. It's the journey, the lovemaking itself, and how we build the energy and we slow down and we speed up and we get to play in our animal passion and we get to rest in the heart. And there's this big dance that happens. More pleasure happens. And most men are like, that sounds awesome. I'm open to that. And they're like, so I just don't ejaculate for how long? And I'm like, well, ideally, if you don't even ejaculate at all, because you'll hold on to all that energy, and eventually all that energy will open up a different type of orgasm where you still experience all the pleasure but without ejaculating. And most men are pretty excited to try. I'm actually impressed with how many men are intrigued. Now, that said, your question was, what's it like to have sex with a man who does practice versus doesn't? Very simply, when I have sex with a man who does not practice semen retention, usually sex is around 10 to 15 minutes. It could go longer, but I will say this. There is a goal-oriented focus that I'm experiencing while I'm having sex with a man. I can see it in his face. He's very much, driven by what position we're getting into or what we're doing based on the level of pleasure that's building him towards an ejaculation. Now, even very conscious, loving, reciprocal men will want to make sure that I'm having an orgasm too, or they'll be like, come with me, or are you close, or maybe we should stop and I'll go down on you, so then when I come, you'll have been satisfied. And while I appreciate that, it's still this complete focus on the goal of orgasmic ejaculation. And that takes away from the entire time feeling them more dropped in and connected to me emotionally as well as physically, because there's this drive with an end in sight. When I'm with a lover that is not focused at all on the orgasm in terms of that's what they're wanting to do, okay, that's the goal, they want to finish that way, there is such a level of awareness and presence, which for the feminine is the sexiest thing ever. When a man is just really present with me, who's just like there to witness me, to hold a very strong space so that I can expand and be in my soft feminine, I can feel all my pleasure. The more he's just present and holding that space, the more I feel pleasure, the bigger my energy gets. And the bigger my energy gets, usually the more pleasure the man has. And so what ends up happening is it is a dance. There's like intensity and then there's cooling down, there's like peaks and then there's plateaus, there's waves. But at a certain point, if we're lucky, we are so vibratory, like vibrating from energy and desire and passion, that our hearts open and there's these different levels of connection that happen, and it's blissful beyond words. It's really hard to describe. And so anyway, that kind of lovemaking is happening because neither one of us is trying to get somewhere or go somewhere. The man is really present, and I get to really be as big and juicy and pleasurable as I can. When a man is focused on ejaculating or just having the sex that leads to an orgasm, an explosive orgasm, I don't feel that they're holding space for me to really let myself go. So they're missing out, I'm missing out, and I'll be honest, I often feel very frustrated or at least not as sexually satisfied when a man ejaculates. And I know a lot of women are really like regular women who don't know about this. They like the ejaculation because they see a visual end result of the man's pleasure. I am here to tell you it is so sexy and so hot when the man is just not going to ejaculate. And I'll also say, lastly, so there's so much I could say about this. Lastly, I will share that when a man doesn't ejaculate and we finish making love, because we just decide we're tired or we're hungry or we have to go do something else because it's been hours, his connection to me is so present, and I feel so safe and I feel so met. And even like as we're getting dressed or we're taking showers or we're even separating to go do different things, the way he'll engage with me, he'll like make sure to come over and give me a juicy kiss goodbye or grab me or be romantic. I don't get that if a man ejaculates. When a man ejaculates, either he wants to roll over and take a nap or go to sleep for the night, or if he's got stuff to do, he gets up and he's not connected to me. It's like he's gone. And I get that. It's just sad for me. It's like I'm still feeling, my feminine's still feeling a lot of stuff and connection. So when a man doesn't ejaculate, not only is the sex better, the presence is better, I'm juicier, my orgasms are better, and often I have more of them. Afterwards, I feel more connected to my partner, which also then just makes me feel safe and relaxed in a relationship. So if you're also in a partnership and your woman is feeling anxious or unsettled or ungrounded, it could have something to do with that as well. And I'm just going to stop there because there's so much more I can say. It's my preference to be with a man.
Amazing answer, right? I really resonate with everything that you said, and you made me remember something. And it's the first day that I tried to not ejaculate having sex. And this is a benefit that you get like straight away. Like you don't have a goal and you can be present for the woman. That was a realization that I had straight away. Like, if I don't have to ejaculate, I can be present for you. I can spend time kissing you, smelling you, tasting you, eating you slowly,
Yeah.
And my presence, it changed. I was there for the woman and not for my final goal. So yeah, I totally resonate with everything that you shared. I have another question related to this topic, and it is about the penis, right? Because I had this feedback before from other women that when a penis is charged, it feels different that when a penis is constantly ejaculating. You know what I mean? Like, if you're constantly ejaculating, your penis is empty of energy. But if you've been cultivating your sexual energy and practicing semen retention for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month, your penis will be completely charged. And I want to know, like, if you feel any difference or in your pleasure, in your sensations, and what happens.
That's a really great question. Yes, I definitely notice a difference. It's that I wouldn't say it's just the penis, though. For me, the quality of the chemistry, the quality of my pleasure, the desire that I feel from the man, his touch, his hunger is so good when they're not ejaculating, because that sexual energy isn't just being exploded out constantly. And so there's a reservoir of this potent energy. And the penis is definitely going to deliver more pleasure because the entire body is charged. I wouldn't say that I feel the penis so much specifically feels physically different, but energetically, yes. Mm-hmm. And I would also say that when a man is not focused on ejaculating, like you're really surrendered in that, you're making love and you're not trying to come from an ejaculation, and you're giving yourself into the moment, into the pleasure, I do feel that there's a relaxation in the nervous system of the man that makes the penis feel harder and more pleasurable. When a man is concerned with or worried or trying to last longer or is goal oriented, you're in your mind, it feels like the penis isn't as hard. Even though it might be, it's like the energy is contracted because the man is like, oh, I have a goal or I'm trying to do something. But when there's this surrender and you can just let all that life force flow through you into the woman, woo, it's so good. It's good.
Okay, let's go to the next topic. I know that like now we are awakening the sexual energy, and as men, for us it's very important to have good levels of testosterone, to have good erections, to have a lot of drive and sexual desire. And I know that you've got a little bit of knowledge about it, that you are a herbologist and that you've done a little bit of study on that. I would like you to briefly share like some tips or supplements or things that a man can do to increase the level of testosterone and increase this sexual drive and desire.
Absolutely. So I have been a clinical herbalist for 27 years, and I specialized in aphrodisiacs when I first started studying plant medicine because I was obsessed with sex.
A nice topic to specialize in.
It's so yummy, And I've always been fascinated that plants can enhance our orgasm. They can enhance how our sexual energy moves in our body. And yes, I have come across many, many men who struggle with low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, or even with totally healthy performance are still looking, especially as we're aging. When you're 18, your testosterone levels are very different than when you hit 40 or 50 or even older. So there's plenty of men that are looking for ways to increase their testosterone. So there's a couple things you can do. On a physical level, exercise is so important. I'm sure you've probably mentioned this or talked about it, but weights, getting into your physical body, so important for increasing your testosterone. Foods, eating certain foods is going to really nourish and support the male genitals. So pumpkin seeds, for example, are fantastic. They're very high in zinc, essential fats. They're going to help really nourish in general the male genitals. There's also being in a good balance with your sugar, your heart, your cholesterol levels, things like that. So if you don't have a healthy diet and you're not exercising, then you're probably building up arterial plaque in your blood vessels, which is going to make your heart have to work harder, and it's going to be a more narrow passageway to pump blood through. And if you're trying to get blood down to erectile tissue in your penis and your arteries are clogged, you're going to have a harder time getting that blood flow, and you're going to have a harder time circulating all the good hormones that you need. So healthy lifestyle, healthy diet. Okay, those are basic things. In terms of herbs, there's a whole world of supplements out there. There's herbal medicine. There are different vitamins that can also help and support testosterone. But I'll just name a few and then encourage you to go research them. One plant that's fantastic, scientifically, clinically proven to increase testosterone levels in both men and women is Tribulus terrestris. It's also fantastic for working out. So even if you have just fine erections, but you want to help increase that pump value, a lot of guys and women actually use it for workouts to get their muscle mass. My personal favorite, if you struggle with any erectile dysfunction, is a Southeast Asian herb called Tongkat Ali. And that has been used for, I think, over 1,000 years in local cultures to enhance libido and erection strength. And I have personally fed that to a lot of lovers and seen the results. And it is powerful. I mean, I've seen guys who are just like, wow, what's happening here? Definitely, it's the kind of thing that the more you take it, it has better effects.
Okay.
You can take a pretty strong dose and feel it on day one, but the goal with Tongarali is to take it every day and after a month, evaluate if it's working for you. And lastly, I will say that, of course, stress and that kind of a thing are big killers for healthy sexual libido and lifestyle. And if you are learning to have different types of orgasm and not ejaculate, it's also really important to not put too much stress on yourself in the learning process. That can affect your erectile function as well, just like the anxiety and the stress. So my other advice is around communication, which is my big thing, which is if you're in a partnership, have a real honest conversation with your partner about it. Tell them, hey, I really want to explore my sexuality. I want to try to change my relationship with orgasm. There's a learning curve. It's going to take me some time. Can I have your support? And what that might look like is X, Y, and Z. And I'm sure if you work with Julio, then you really know what I'm talking about, the journey of learning how to, hold and retain your semen. But that stress and anxiety can affect your libido and your erectile function. So that would be another thing, is just be gentle with yourself. But yeah, try playing around with some of those herbs. There's way more out there, but those are just some to start with. And healthy diet, healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, I think like she gave really amazing information there with a lot of value. I'll try to ask her to write you down in the description of the video the names of these herbs that she just recommended. And also, I just want to say that Ashley is approachable, and she also works, as she says now, as a sex therapist and coach. So anyone that would like to see what Ashley is doing, what's her work, maybe be interested in working with her, I'm just gonna leave all the information that you need to know below in the description of this video. So don't hesitate to go and have a look on what she's doing, because definitely she's got a lot of knowledge. She's helped a lot of people, and what she brings, it has a lot of value.
Thank you.
And yeah, let's continue with that. I would like to ask you now about, you shared a little bit about a man that has problems with erection, and men that have problems with semen retention, with premature ejaculation. You as a woman, when you meet a man that is suffering these problems, no, how, which tip would you give to the man to be able to feel better with himself having this problem?
That's a really, really great question. Very important. This is actually very simple. Be willing to communicate up front with the woman before you get into a sexual experience. Because if you wait till you're in a sexy moment and then you're, let's say you have erectile dysfunction, so you're not getting hard, it becomes awkward because, you're with this beautiful woman and you're excited and you struggle with erectile dysfunction, and now, she's not sure what's going on. And a lot of times people will internalize like, oh, maybe it's me, maybe he's not attracted to me, or maybe this is something he deals with all the time, or maybe it's just, did we drink too much alcohol tonight? Like, what's going on? It becomes all of a sudden this mental chatter. So if you struggle with premature ejaculation or erectile dysfunction, it can feel very scary to initiate a conversation, but my advice is to do it outside of the bedroom, outside of a sexy moment, and to bring it up and say, hey, would you be willing to have a conversation with me? It's a little vulnerable and it's around sexuality. I'd like to share something vulnerable with you. Would you be willing to talk about that with me? What you just did there was you asked their permission. Are they up for it? You mentioned briefly what it was going to be about, and that it was vulnerable, and you left it as an invitation. Now, in a situation where someone would respond and be like, I don't want to talk about it, or if they're like, well, maybe, what do you want to talk about? And then you say, well, I actually struggle with erectile dysfunction. It's something I'm working on, and I'm really excited about this journey I'm on with my sexuality, but it's there, and I just want to check in and see how that lands for you. If someone says, oh, I don't want to deal with that, or no thank you, or they get reactive, or they can't, that you don't feel safe, let's just say they shut down, that's information for you right there to know that you shouldn't get involved with this person. And that can be hard to swallow, but it's true. If you are struggling with performance and you're feeling insecure, or you have anxiety and stress, trying to convince somebody to be okay with it it's just not the answer. And there are plenty of women out there that would be like, wow, thank you, that's so vulnerable. Tell me more. I'm open to listening. Yes. And then you might be surprised when you're done sharing if you turn it around and say, is there anything that you struggle with sexually? Is there anything I can hold space for you around your relationship with sexuality? And then you might be shocked to hear that the woman says, actually, no one's asked me that before, and I actually don't orgasm. Or I have a hard time orgasming, or I feel really self-conscious being naked. I mean, there's a world of things that women struggle with. So what you're doing is you're inviting intimacy and honesty, and that's what you need to heal your relationship with premature ejaculation and erectile dysfunction, because 9 out of 10 times, it's not actually physical. Most men who experience erectile dysfunction, in my experience, it's in the head. It's stress and anxiety related. I'm assuming, because this is your audience, that you've shared some of your personal story and history. And for those people that are new, I know that Julio has shared openly that what started him on this path was that he had a traumatizing, first sexual experience, and that affected your relationship with, how you felt able to perform. It's in the head. So if you establish trust and safety with someone in a communication, then you're already starting to create that safety so that you can heal and go deeper. That's my number one advice, is talk about it. Number 2 is don't be afraid to tell someone what you need ahead of time when that happens. So for example, if you know that when you're making love, you're having sex and you're hard, and then you lose the erection, let's say that happens. When that happens, you have to first of all get comfortable with knowing what you need. So let's say it's, you need to stop, you want to pull out, and you just want to hold the woman. You want to just pause and not have to do anything. Let her know that. Say like, hey, if I ever lose my erection in lovemaking, the best thing for me to do is to just stop and hold you. Or I can ask you if there's anything that you need in that moment. I don't want to talk about it, or I don't want to have you think that you need to stimulate me and maybe, try to get me hard again. That puts more pressure on me. So know what you need in those moments. If you are prematurely ejaculating, if it happens, what will feel supportive to you when that happens? Is that for the woman to hold you? Is it for the woman to say nothing? Is it for the woman to say something? Could be a phrase like, I love you. Maybe you just need your partner to remind you that you're loved. Whatever it is, ask yourself what you need and then communicate that with your partner. Again, you're building safety and trust. There's so much more to the process of healing erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation, but if you don't feel safe with someone to talk about it, you're really not going to get to the core stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing when you're sharing. We didn't speak about this before.
Not at all.
So it's the first time that I'm listening Ashley sharing about this topic, and I resonate with everything that you say. My first step to heal premature ejaculation was to have the courage to sit in front of the woman and say, hey, I have a really big fear, and it's the fear of ejaculating very quick, and being vulnerable. And then she also shared, at that time, I created the space for the woman to be vulnerable with me, and she said, well, like, I also have a fear. And then she was also sharing her vulnerability. Mm-hmm. So yeah, communication is really, really, really the key to heal, because it allows you to relax, and the secret is relaxation. I would like to finish this interview, this sharing, this talk with an important question that we can't forget about, and it's about orgasm. Men, we usually feel a lot of pressure. We feel like we have to perform. We feel like we have to give 1,000 orgasms to our woman. And then we go to have sex with a lot of pressure. What do you have to say to release this pressure for all the men that is listening, like about orgasming, woman orgasming, and responsibility, and men, and yeah, what do you have to share?
It's a big question, and it's a juicy one. It's a tricky one to answer because I can answer for myself, and I'm a woman who's really made sex be about the journey and not an end result. And don't get me wrong, I love to have orgasms, and I do have orgasms almost every time I make love, and I love them. But the orgasm is the bonus, it's the benefit to the journey of dancing with the energy with my partner. So if you're a man and you feel this pressure to perform, to have the woman have an orgasm, I mean, again, I think a first step would be to talk to this woman and to just ask them too, like, what's their relationship with orgasm? Find out, first of all, does she orgasm at all? If she does, how does she orgasm? Is it just through oral? Is it through penetration? Is it clitoral stimulation? Does she have deeper orgasms like G-spot or cervical? Ask her the questions about, like, what's your orgasmic experience like? What's sex like for you? Women who don't orgasm very easily tend to be like, oh, I don't need to orgasm. Sex is just nice because of the intimacy. That is probably true by default because they don't orgasm easily. And that has a lot to do, again, with safety and slowing down and listening. So if you have pressure as a man to perform, my first advice is talk to your partner about what her experience is so you even know. Like if a woman straight up says, I've never had an orgasm before, don't take on the pressure that you need to make her have one the first time you guys have sex. Instead, be like, wow, is that something you'd like to explore? Maybe we can try different things and you can give me feedback. And so the pressure's off. You're not trying to make her come. You're just trying to see what her experience is like and journey with her. The next piece of advice I would have for you is that if you find yourself during sex getting goal oriented, feeling yourself focused on making something happen, there's a certain feeling to that. It probably feels like contraction or tension or stress. It's probably negative. It's not a yummy, delicious, I'm having a full body experience kind of feeling. Let that become your alarm. When you feel that contraction, that trigger, that's your way to be like, oh, I'm goal oriented. That's your alarm to pause, not necessarily to stop having sex or the movement, but pause inside yourself, take a breath. And when you exhale, rest in yourself. Rest in your body, feel your breath, feel your cock inside your partner, or feel your genitals, feel your partner. Feel a temporary moment just right here, right now, whatever's happening, not with a goal, just what am I feeling? And then go back into the dance. Take that pressure off with one breath and bring it back to sensation. Just come back to sensation. So those are the two easiest things that I would say to take the stress and the pressure off. And the more you talk about it with your partner, I think the more you'll also realize that it's all welcome.
We always go back to the same point. Communication.
Oh my God, communicate, talk about sex,
it's the most important thing, and we don't do it enough. No. So yeah, we're just gonna close this amazing conversation interview. Thank you very much for your time, for all your answers. I hope that you enjoyed as much as we did. And don't forget to like the video, to subscribe if you're not subscribed. I leave you all the information to know more about Ashley, and thank you for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon.